Hi, this is Mark Little. Today we're going to talk about how to get more referrals from friends and acquaintances. Now, mostly we talk about how to receive more client referrals because if you're knocking the socks off, your clients won't be able to resist sharing the good news of you with everyone that they know. But we're not talking about client referrals today. We're also not talking about professional referrals or referrals from centers of influence. If you're a financial advisor like I am, then though we're not talking about referrals from accountants or referrals from estate planning lawyers or anything like that. No, today we're focused on how to get more referrals from friends and acquaintances. This is actually how I launched my career. And I thought every financial advisor did the business the way that I do it. Just to be clear, what we're talking about here, I am a financial advisor who delivers comprehensive financial services to retail clients. That's to say, my clients are individuals and families, and I coordinate all their financial affairs. That's what I do. But as far as responsibilities in my little business here, I am responsible for both acquiring clients and serving clients. So if you're in any service business, but especially, particularly if you're a financial advisor who is responsible for client acquisition and serving clients once you acquire them, this is what we're talking about here. One of the signature things that I figured out in my was how do you acquire clients without using any sales tactics, without any manipulative sales techniques, or no closing tactics, no sales tactics of any way, shape, or form. So how do you do that? Because I didn't realize until later in my career, after I had struggled to know where my next client was coming from. I literally was about to get fired by my branch manager every week for the first 2 years in the business. I finally dialed it in. I figured it out. What I figured out was, how do you take just personal relationships with friends and acquaintances? Not all of them, of course, because again, just to reiterate, I don't use sales tactics. So I'm not trying to convert everyone into a client. In other words, when I meet a new friend or a new acquaintance, I don't immediately put a target on their back thinking potential client. No, what my goal was, and I thought every advisor did it this way, only to find out later almost no advisors do it this way. Even advisors who hear what I've done sit there and wonder, how did he do that? How does it move from a friendship relationship into an actual professional business relationship? Because I have advisors all the time telling me, Mark, I don't get the secret because I have lots of friends, I have lots of acquaintances, I'm meeting with them constantly, but I've got friends and acquaintances that I've had for 20 years and none of them became clients. So how do you actually make a business out of moving personal relationships to business relationships? Frankly, we've got other videos on that. The key, in my view, are two tactics that I'll share at the end of this. But the one thing that I wanted to cover on getting more referrals is something that I took for granted in myself. But as I started coaching other financial advisors, this was since 2002, I noticed that some financial advisors struggle with certain aspects of these meetings. When you sit down and have conversations with friends and acquaintances, there are some things that you can do that will irritate your friend or will make them worried that maybe you have an ulterior business motive for wanting to be friends with them. In other words, I had some things about my personality which I didn't think anybody struggled with. But as I've been working with advisors for over 20 years, you may be in a situation to where there are some aspects of your personality. Certainly, everything I'm going to talk about today is totally under your control. But I'm going to go through the list so that you can think in your head, Is that something that I need to fix? And a lot of advisors don't like this advice, but I'm going to say it anyway. When you go and sit down with friends and acquaintances, I recommend, at least for the next few weeks, that you record those meetings surreptitiously. I don't care about the laws in your state. You're not going to share this recording with anyone. You're just going to listen to it once and delete it. So I would just say, regardless of the law, this is for your own personal development and your own personal growth. You're not going to use this recording to snare someone on narcotics charges or anything. It's not The Wire. No, this is just you surreptitiously recording with your cell phone or whatever, a conversation between you and a friend or an acquaintance. You're going to listen to it once and then delete it. You're going to see if any of these things I'm talking about in this video actually do show up. The reason I'm recommending recording it is because I've been given this same advice for over 20 years. Until the meetings are recorded, I have advisors swearing to me up and down, none of that applies to me. I don't behave in that way. But when we listen to the recording, they have to admit it is something. There are some things that many of you will have to deal with if you'll go to the trouble of recording your meetings with friends, at least for a little while. Just listen to it and then delete it just to confirm whether or not any of this stuff shows up. So I'm going to go through the tactics that I think matter most to moving a friendship to a business relationship. But I want to talk at the high level just about the personality things. In other words, what should be the easy things to eliminate, which will promote the likelihood that you can move a friendship or an acquaintance to a business relationship. So let me fly through these as quickly as I can. First of all, when you're sitting down to meet with a friend or to meet with an acquaintance, it should be only about business. So when I sit down and I have one of these meetings, I make it clear to my friend or my acquaintance up front when I'm scheduling the meeting, hey, it's been a while since we caught up on personal stuff. Why don't we go grab coffee next week? Let's catch up. It's been a while. To which they say, I'm a little bit busy right now, or whatever they say. They might just say, sure, let's do it. But whether or not they say, whatever they say, just make it that you're busy. And you just say, look, I am so busy at work right now. I can barely find time to breathe. However, I'd rather catch up with you a little more frequently than not catch up at all. I can't have lunch or anything in the next few weeks, but could you grab coffee for 20 or 30 minutes? And that way we get to catch up. We get to hear what's going on with each other. It's better to catch up than not to catch up. So I'm busy. You're busy. We're all busy. So I'm saying make the meeting about personal and make sure they are aware this is personal. This is not business, or it's not about anything else. What I'm thinking of is I'm involved in charitable boards. I've been involved with the Chamber of Commerce over the years. Some of these are acquaintances. They're not exactly friends. They're just people that I rub elbows with in other places. Maybe we work on a charity together or something. So I make it clear, I'm not calling, we meet in committee meetings for the chamber or for the charity. So why don't we catch up next week and just personal? I'd love to just catch up with you personal. So make it personal. The second thing is many advisors meet too long when they have these catch up meetings with friends and acquaintances. So by purposely scheduling it so that it's going to just be 20 or 30 minutes, guess what? They're more likely to say yes, because who couldn't fit in a 20-minute meeting to grab coffee with a friend? It's almost, if you don't have time for that, like why bother even having a relationship? So I'd like to meet personal. Let's grab coffee next week. Let's schedule it for 20 or 30 minutes. Then at least we've caught up. So they come in with the expectation this is going to be short. And when you get in there, make it short. So my number one mistake that I think advisors make is they don't clarify that it's not a business meeting. And you're not talking about other business. You're talking about personal. So that's number one. If you're not making it clear when you schedule time with a friend or an acquaintance that, hey, there's no ulterior motive here. I just want to catch up as friends. and catch up with you and see what's going on with the family, what's going on in your life, whatever. Make it clear that it's personal. And secondly, make it clear that it's going to be short. Once you've done that, then imagine how many people you could meet with. Like in our program, I'll ask a new financial advisor that joins our program, I'll say, how many people have you met with in the last week? Non-clients that might be potential clients. Like, how many have you met with in the last week? I very commonly get the answer, oh, 3 or 4 or 5, maybe 5 or less or something like that. If we ever have a new advisor to our program who says, oh, I meet with people with 10 per week, usually, that's unusual. But I can tell you the people in our program, I was just talking to a guy today. He joined our program 13 weeks ago. I said, so you've been meeting with at least 10 people per week for how many consecutive weeks? He said 13. So for 13 consecutive weeks, he's met with 10 people or more. And this is non-clients. Let's call them potential clients. That's pretty good. So that's what I'm saying is if you schedule it for a shorter amount of time, what does it work out to for this guy? He grabs coffee with someone in the morning, maybe 10 a.m. He grabs coffee with somebody else in the afternoon, maybe 2 p.m. That's Monday through Friday. There you go. That's 10 a week. You're catching up with 10 potential clients every week. So make it personal, make it short, and talk less. So when I ask them to record their meetings and listen to them, I will often say, what percentage of the time are you doing the talking versus them doing the talking? You should really keep an eye on that. I personally think the ratio should be 80-20. They should be talking 80% of the time, and you should be talking 20% of the time. So many advisors, much to their own surprise, talk more than their friend. So I will tell you that you can make friends and handle those relationships however you want. I don't care. But the question on the table was a little bit different. The question on the table was, Mark, how do you move a friendship or an acquaintance to a professional business relationship? I'm saying you need to talk less. You need to talk less than 50% of the time. They should be talking more than you. You're not learning about them and their situation when you're talking. You need to see if you are talking less than 50% of the time, and it should be closer to 20% of the time than 50. The reason that you're recording is to see if there are any of these little things that we're going to be talking about that you need to alter. But the main thing you're listening for on the recording is that you kept the meeting under 30 minutes, 20, 30 minutes. You actually enforced that rule. It's not something you're telling them. It's just in your mind, you're thinking, I can meet with more potential clients if I keep them short, and I want to do less than 50% of the talking. Matter of fact, I'd rather do 20% of the talking, which means I need to talk less. I need to ask more open-ended questions and just keep them talking. All right. So that's number 3. So it's personal. It's less than 30 minutes. You're going to talk less. You're going to learn about them because they're talking. While I'm on that topic, let me just say some things that I noticed that these were kind of surprises to me because I didn't do this, but I notice it a lot with advisors that I'm coaching. It's okay after your friend tells you a story, it's okay for you not to tell a story of your own. All right? What do I mean by that? Okay, here's the scenario. You sit down with a friend to grab coffee and to catch up with them. You open the meeting, you sit down, you just say, it's been a while since we've seen each other. Catch me up. What's going on in your life? You open it and you get them talking. They tell a little story. They say, oh, I've been busy with the family. We just had one of our kids moved out of the house into the dorm. That was a bunch of drama. So they tell this little story. You follow me? It's okay for you not to then feel obligated to have a little story of your own. What ends up happening a lot of times, I think this is just human beings in general, they tell a story, and in your head, you're thinking, of course, what you're going to say next, rather than listening to them actively as you should be. Many people I've learned are thinking more about what they're going to say next. So they're telling this story about their kid moving into the dorm. You're thinking, oh, yeah, we had a similar situation or in our family or some similar situation, substantially similar type of story, but with your family's spin on it, or you had a different outcome or whatever the case. It's very common for you to respond to their story with your story. Resist that temptation. It's okay for them to tell a story and for you to just say, wow, that's interesting. So what happened? What happened after that? Just keep asking open-ended questions. You don't have to tell a story that's substantially similar. Like, that's not part of the pattern that's required in these relationships. So they tell a story, just let it sit, or ask an open-ended question to keep them talking. Along that same line, the next thing that you should check to see if you're doing is one-upsmanship. Now, a form of one-upsmanship that is really annoying to other people is name dropping. So if somebody says, oh, I've been playing a lot of golf lately down at the golf club. And you say, so which golf club are you a member of? And they tell you, and you go, oh, yeah, the mayor is a member of that club too. I meet with the mayor every couple of months and play golf down there. We have a foursome. That's name dropping. Like talking about somebody important, whether or not you meant it that way, it comes across as name dropping. So don't do that. It's annoying to some people. The more affluent and the more successful your friends and acquaintances, the more annoying it is. So how about just drop that? But the overall catch-all category that I'm calling this is one-upsmanship. So what most people do is they'll tell a story, something going on in their life, and you feel obligated to share your story. So you're not going to do that. You're just going to ask, let the story lay on its own, or you're going to ask an open-ended question to keep them talking, but you're not going to feel obligated to have your own story. You for sure have no obligation to tell story that's better than their story. So they say, oh, what have we been up to? We just got back from Cancun. We went down there and just relaxed on the beach. To which you say, oh, yeah, we just got back from Hawaii. We just spent a month in Hawaii. So you took their story with something substantially similar, but whether or not you meant to or not, it was one-upsmanship. It comes off as you're trying to tell a story that would impress them, like something they did, but you're going to one-up them on the story. So just be sensitive to it. Listen to your recording. If you do anything that's in the neighborhood of one-upsmanship, just stop it. Just stop doing that. I keep coming back to it's better just to let their story. Maybe you ask them an open-ended question. What happened then? Or what was the next step? Or how did your family react to that? Or what? Just some open-ended question to keep them talking. Or you can move to the next story. So you went to the beach with the family. What else you guys been doing? That's an open-ended question. Just keep them rolling. They're on a roll telling you stories. They're doing all the talking. You're learning from them. Keep them talking. So that's much better. Certainly one-upsmanship is not good for this purpose because it's annoying to the other person, and name dropping is just very annoying. But okay, so no one-upsmanship. The next thing that you need to be aware of is if you're missing opportunities. And this can only be determined if you will record and if you will listen to your own recording. Obviously, you don't have to keep the recording. You can dispose of it quickly, but you need to check to see if you're doing most of the talking or they're doing most of the talking, and are you missing any opportunities? What are opportunities? If you're a financial advisor, an opportunity would be somebody that has a significant financial issue. Would you not agree? If someone, a non-client, let's call it a potential client, is in the course of telling a story like the dorm, like I moved my kid into the dorm, oftentimes within or embedded in the story that they share with you, there is a financial issue buried in there somewhere. It might be a significant financial issue. So if your friend were to say, we just moved our daughter out to the dorm, a lot of drama in that move and you say, oh, yeah, I've heard that dorms and tuitions and everything have just skyrocketed. Have you noticed anything like that? So this is you not missing an opportunity. You're trying to take a mundane, ordinary, routine story and you're fishing around to see if there's a significant financial issue buried in there. So you ask, I've heard from others that tuitions and dorm fees are skyrocketing. Have you noticed anything like that? To which your friend says, oh my God, it is like brutal. It ends up being about $20,000 a year more than we had thought it was going to be. So they can say whatever they want. But what have you just done? You have taken a mundane story. You have uncovered and revealed, like a present, a significant financial issue. But here's the bottom line on significant financial issues. Are you missing the opportunity? And even when you identify the significant financial issue, are you noting it for your records without back when you get back to the office? So we teach a system for this, but the bottom line is that as you're meeting with, let's say, 10 non-clients, potential clients per week, let's say you had 13 consecutive weeks of meeting with at least 10 people a week. We show a way by not missing opportunities. So you're not steering the conversation or anything. You're taking their stories that they've already shared with you. You're slowing things down, backing it up and say, back when you were talking about the dorm and you get them to confirm what they said, you ask them if this is also a financial issue. So there was a lot of drama moving into the dorm, but is this a financial issue also? Turns out it is. So my question is, do you miss the opportunities? Do you track these significant financial issues so that you can follow up with your friend later? Not to solve the problem, you charge fees for that. So you're a professional. It's unprofessional to do work for free. But why would you follow up on a significant financial issue? Because you're a friend and they have shared with you, yes, I have this significant financial issue. And we always recommend you ask them, is this financial issue high, medium, or low priority for you right now? You're looking for high priority. So when I say track significant financial issues, don't miss the opportunity. Always go back, check to see if there's a financial issue buried in their story. When they confirm that there is one, and if there's not one, that's okay. You just move on with the conversation. No big deal. But if they say yes, they confirm that it is, in addition to whatever reason they told you the story, it is also a significant financial issue, then you ask them, is it high, medium, or low significant financial issue? You're looking for high. If they confirm to you it is a high priority, significant financial issue, then you need to jot it down, remember it, and track it. In our method, we insist that you develop this skill until you are adding to your list of significant financial issues across all your friends and acquaintances. You're adding 3 new ones per week. So it's not just this fun game, whether can you not miss an opportunity? No, you're on the prowl. You're hunting for significant financial issues, which I'm telling you, just have to try this to confirm it for yourself. There are all kinds of financial issues disguised inside these stories that they will share with you freely. You just can't miss the opportunity. You have to go back, confirm it's there. If they say it's a high priority, you need to track it. If you are adding 3 significant financial issues every week to your inventory of significant financial issues that you're not solving for these clients, you're making it clear. Forgive me, I'm a financial advisor, so we deal with this in our business professionally, and we have a process to address whatever significant financial issue they're talking about. But your point is just by saying, I'd be happy to schedule a meeting with you at the office to discuss that if that's something you'd like to do. But back to the story, you just confirm to them that you're a friend, and if it's a high priority, you'd like to hear what their plan is to resolve this and just to be supportive. So then every time you follow up with your friend and they've noted in the past that they have this significant financial issue that's a high priority, you will be perceived as a very good friend if every time you check in with them, whether it's at one of these coffees where you're catching up or in between where you just shoot them an email saying, hey, I was just thinking about you. I hope your significant financial issues resolving itself. I hope your plan works. So you just check in as a friend every time you interact with this person. Just ask them, how's that going? I know you said it was a high priority, a significant financial issue. I hope you're resolving it. Is it being resolved to your satisfaction? And you just keep up with it. Just track it over time. Just note whether it's being resolved or not. Trust me, if you meet with someone 3 or 4 times a year and they keep identifying the same, confirming the significant financial issues, still the same, still high priority, but they are not making any progress, every time you just throw out this kind of nothing comment where you say, I'd be happy to schedule an appointment at the office to resolve this if that's something you'd like to do. And we can resolve this. We can have a breakthrough. But if you've got a plan that will work your plan, go ahead. And I hope it works out for you. If you're doing what we require our advisors to do in our program, that means over every quarter of a year, every 90-day period, you are adding 35 significant financial issues to your inventory. So imagine that you're actually tracking all the significant financial issues across all of your friends and acquaintances, so that whether it's 35 or 45 or 55 or whatever the number, you are tracking all the major issues that are of financial, that involve money and planning, that you are tracking them for all your friends. You're just encouraging them and checking in to see whether or not they've resolved it or not. If they're not resolving it, you can imagine after weeks, months, and maybe even a year later, they've made no progress resolving it. And there you are, willing and able to schedule a meeting at the office to help them resolve it. You're going to start looking better and better. If it's a significant enough issue and it's a high enough priority, it's a problem. You've got a solution. They'll schedule time with you on the spot. That's been my experience. But we've worked with advisors over the years, and this methodology works. So make sure when you meet with friends and acquaintances, they know it's personal. They know it's going to be short, 20, 30 minutes. You're going to talk less, which gives them more opportunities to tell you more stories in this short period of time. They will schedule these meetings more frequently with you because they're short. At the end of these meetings, when you grab coffee, it'll occur to them, obviously, the time just flew by. We didn't get a chance to fully catch up. So they always leave these sessions with you thinking, oh, we had more to catch up on. And you'd rather have all your friends and acquaintances feel that way about you. Every time we meet, there's so much more we could have gotten into, but we need to get back to work. And so they always have this yearning to spend a little more time with you, as opposed to the opposite. You spend too much time in these meetings. Let's say you grab lunch with them. It's 60 or 90 minutes of catching up, and way more than 20 or 30 minutes. Then every time you meet with people, you're fully caught up. Maybe you don't even need to meet with them for a year after that just to be caught up on each other. But if you do it the way I'm suggesting, short, make it about personal only, make sure that you talk less so they're telling more stories, they will feel that these are very good sessions where they think you're brilliant, but actually they're doing all the talking because you're talking less. But they'll think you're a brilliant conversationalist, mainly because they get to hear themselves share a lot of stories. And the more stories they tell, the more opportunity you have to find one that might have a significant financial issues buried beneath the surface of the story. By never missing the opportunity and then tracking all the significant financial issues that are high priority across all your friends and acquaintances, it gives you the opportunity to check in between coffees. So let's say you grab coffee with this particular person every 2 or 3 months, or maybe every 4 months, whatever it is. If it's a significant enough financial issue, and you can tell when they tell you this story that it is of concern, very high priority to them, I think more important contacts than when you sit down and catch up formally to grab coffee. I think what you do in between these meetings is maybe more important than when you actually sit down to get an update from each other. So I'm saying in between these meetings, you just picking up the phone and saying, "Hey, I was just thinking about you. How are you doing?" They say, "Oh, I'm doing fine." And say, "I know last time we met, you talked about that significant financial issue. I was just checking in. Hopefully you're making progress with that. I just got a little bit worried about you, hoping you're resolving things." You're just checking in. And that meeting or that email, or if you clip out an article or you forward some website that you came across that might be some article that they might find interesting, maybe around the issue that they're dealing with. But whatever the case, what I'm saying is what you do to interact and touch with them in between these coffees is more important than the actual coffees. Yes, when you sit down and catch up, that is important. But for you to, in between times, to proactively be thinking about them randomly, that's a real compliment that people appreciate. And so, no one-upsmanship. It's okay not to tell a story of your own. Just let them talk. And that's it. I think now you can realize that you're going to have to record a few of these, at least for a few weeks, and listen to every one in order to make sure that you're not doing some of these things and that you are doing some of these other things. That there is literally no other way to do it than listen to the recording. But the payoff is you'll accelerate and move closer to moving those relationships that should be both a friendship and a professional relationship. You now have a system in place to more consistently move people into that process. In my case, my own experience, by implementing this process where I'm catching up with people regularly and we're only talking about personal, they know that I have no ulterior business motive. That moved me from last in my company in production. That moved me all the way to #1 top producer nationwide. The question is, do other methods of acquiring clients work better than this? Maybe. I can't speak to other methods that I've not implemented, but I think it says a lot that I moved past every other advisor at our firm and was #1 top producer for week after week, month after month, year after year for many years. And the #2 person was nowhere close to my #1 spot. So if you're asking, does this work the way I'm describing it? I'm saying absolutely works. It's just developing a human relationship with someone and allowing them to catch you up on what's happening in their life. Most people tell stories about, oh, what's been going on with us, and they tell you a story, and that you pluck out of those stories because you never miss an opportunity. You notice financial issues, makes sense to them. Why do you notice financial issues? Because you're in the business. It's what you do professionally, so you can't help it. But I noticed there was a financial issue there. By tightening this up the way I'm describing, it not only works, I believe it is the fastest, most effective way to acquiring new clients and acquiring new revenue. So with that, we will end it there, and we'll see you in the next video.